Hello. Today I'm going to be talking about some heavy topics. My target audience for this video are survivors, so that I can give them validation and solidarity. Is also young people who have not been assaulted, who hopefully I can give some. What are you doing? Chairo! Sorry. Some young people who have not been victims, so that I can maybe offer some advice and like safety tips, like maybe some education a little bit. Sorry, I have like dust and hair everywhere. And the third is hopefully I can get a group of people who don't understand much about sexual assault, especially men, but hopefully they're respectful. I'm really looking for some respectful people in the comments. This is a sensitive topic. I want everyone to be respected. I hope that you feel comfortable to share your story in the comments, and any advice that you have for other victims if you're a survivor. And I want to use this platform to speak myself and use my voice, but use my voice to uplift your voices. That's why I'm here. I'm here to share solidarity and to form, I'm itchy, form connections with people. So yes, I hope this video reaches at least one person, and just know that you're never alone, even when it feels like you really are. So I want to talk about my experience and also some thoughts that I have that I don't hear anyone else share. I also want to say that there are tons of videos, articles, documentaries, etc. out for people to be able to find who share a lot of statistics, and all that. This is not meant to be really that like academically informative. This is kind of supposed to be like a colloquial sit down, like just talking, just having a conversation, just thinking. So this is not going to be like the most educational video. I really just kind of want to share some of my thoughts and theories, okay? That being said, please do your research if you are more interested, and please don't take everything I say as a grain of salt, because I'm just sharing my experience and my thoughts. I don't speak for all survivors. I'm quite different from a lot of survivors, and not in like a please pick me type of way, but just like, I don't know. I think, so it's very common for victims to struggle with like the imposter phenomenon and like survivor's guilt and blaming themselves and feeling not valid in their trauma, feeling like, oh well, I didn't say no, I didn't scream, I didn't fight back, etc. Even it felt good. There's a lot of like pain that comes with, but it felt good. I had a friend who experienced rape by one of their friends, and they told me about like that pain and guilt that they felt for saying it was rape and I'm traumatized by it, but it felt good. And it's like, yeah, sex feels good for a lot of people, so it's not your fault that your body reacted in that way. It's not your fault that you experienced a physical sensation, even though it was still damaging to your brain. You're still valid. You're still a survivor. Okay, so yeah, I just want to say that. And so what I was saying like a little bit ago about being like, oh, I'm different. It's not I'm different like I'm better. It's I'm different like I feel worse. Not worse than them, not more pain. Sorry, damn, can't explain for shit. What I'm trying to say is that I feel like every victim is so valid, and no matter how gray things are or how little details they provide, I'm always like, you are valid, you are so valid, I am with you. But then with me, I'm like, I don't know if you're valid, girl. You know, a lot of the time, and it's taken me just a long time to like accept what happened to me and to stop being silent about it. I was silent for a long time, and it was so daunting, especially as somebody who wasn't, I had a hard time like being closeted and stuff. I've never ever been good at keeping secrets, and so this was the one thing that I held on to for so long that was just like, I can't fucking tell anybody this. I told people when I was hurting myself. I told people when I liked a girl for the first time, when I thought I was gay. I mean, I am gay. I told people like everything about me. Oh, I have an eating disorder right now, and like I'm feeling suicidal. Like any heavy thing, I had such an easy time opening up to even a stranger about. But when it came to this, I was like, I'm gonna hold on to this for the rest of my life, and I'm not fucking telling anybody. It took some time, and it took some therapy. I am currently in therapy. I currently have a psychiatrist. I just started seeing a new psychiatrist who I really like. I just want to say it takes time and it goes in waves, and sometimes you just have bad days where you feel like doubting yourself. But at the end of the day, I feel like the guilt that comes with doubting and blaming yourself is really a universal experience, and if you feel that, then really it kind of proves all the more that you're valid. So I hope that you can give yourself so much grace in this time of healing. Let's pause because I'm itchy. So I don't know if I gave my trigger warnings for this video yet, but obviously we're talking about sexual trauma, so if anything on that topic is too sensitive for you right now, I'm going to be sharing my experience, so I don't want that to trigger anybody. Really what I'm trying to do is just share that you're not alone. It is daunting to share this, especially showing your face, sharing your voice. Like it's very scary, and you feel alone until you're proven you're not. That I'm willing to take that chance because I just really hope that this can help just one person not feel fucking crazy. Okay, so yeah, take care of yourself. It's okay if you can't deal with this video right now. I don't take it personally. It's a heavy topic, so I respect you. I love you. You're good. And you're safe now, hopefully. Alright, let's start with my experience, I guess. Yeah, just for context, I suppose. I'll try and give as many like contextual details as I can. Not like graphic details. I think I am going to share a little bit of scary details from one night because that's the most traumatizing for me. That sounds like all the more reason not to provide details. I don't know. We'll see when we get there, okay? So basically, I have some OCD behaviors, like patterns, but I'm not officially diagnosed with it. I think I still have to talk more with my the professionals about it, but we have talked a bit about it. But I do know that I suffered for most of my life with rape paranoia. I don't know any other way to put it. I don't even know if other people have experienced it. I'm assuming they have. I've never heard somebody else talk about it, but this is just my experience, so I'm gonna try and be as honest and transparent as I can. But I grew up feeling very sexualized. I started puberty kind of a little bit earlier than the other people in my grade. Not like super too early or anything like that, but I started like wearing training bras in 3rd grade, and I started my period in 5th grade. So I was 9 and 10 when that happened. Yeah. I don't know. I just always felt like I was raised. I don't want to put words in my family's mouth per se. I just want to say the way that I interpreted things. So I grew up feeling like I was supposed to be ashamed of my body, and I was supposed to cover up my body, and if I didn't, then I was looking for a certain kind of attention, and that I was asking for something if I behaved or looked a certain way, even though I was an elementary school child. Sorry, why am I so itchy? I'm always like this. It's like I'm allergic to making YouTube videos because that's the only time my nose gets itchy. It's ridiculous. I don't know. But anyway, so And I grew up hearing that all men want one thing from me, and they're going to take it whether I like it or not. And so you can imagine how like damaging that was for my psyche, even though my family didn't like intend for it to do that. They wanted me to be safe. They wanted me to be cautious. They wanted me to stay responsible. And the last thing they wanted in the world was for anyone to hurt me. Hang on, I'm too itchy for this. All right, so that being said, despite the intention, it didn't have a very good impact on me because it kind of reframed in a negative way how I viewed men and intimacy. I came out as lesbian when I was 13, and that's still true today, although I've had like moments of questioning, etc. It's not been like a linear path. But for example, one memory I have is that I forced myself to like this boy in 3rd grade, and I remember showering, and I just remember like washing my hair, and it's weird how like blatant this memory is, you know, how like clear it is for me, because you don't have that many from when you're a kid, or maybe you do. I have some childhood amnesia going on, so there aren't very many like super clear memories I have. But I was standing in the shower, and I thought to myself about how, you know, I was gonna marry this boy, right? Because of course you think that when you're a kid with a crush or whatever. I didn't even know him, by the way. I knew his name, and I knew that he had big blue eyes and long eyelashes, and he looked like a girl. He was super pretty, like so pretty. So of course I chose him to like, and he was popular and all the other girls liked him, so that was the perfect candidate to like project my crush onto, since I couldn't just like girls, right? Not openly anyway. And so yeah, standing in the shower, I thought to myself, I'm gonna marry him, and then I was like, oh, but sex with him is gonna hurt. Why are you a 9-year-old even thinking about this? First of all, where did that all come from? I don't know. But I was like, it's gonna hurt, because I already knew like how it happened, like what sex was. And I thought to myself, I'll get used to it. Every time I think about that, that's heartbreaking to me, because I'm like, who told you that? I don't remember anybody else telling me that, but no one in my family. I was raised being told you can say no, no one gets to touch these spots on you without you saying yes, etc. I was raised being told my body is my body. If someone touches me, I have the right to defend myself, etc. Very, very strongly. My family, I have 2 older brothers, then a mom and a dad, and they're all warriors, and my brothers protected me throughout school very passionately. Like, everyone made sure me, a little princess, knew no one gets to touch me without me saying yes, right? So I don't know where I learned that I had to have sex, but I guess I just understood that that was something that happened in marriage, and I had to get married, which meant I had to have sex one day. Even though I'm an air-race lesbian, so that was confusing. But yeah, that scene is cemented in my mind because when I first thought that in my head, something deep inside me was so against that. Was like I knew it was wrong. I knew what I had just thought was wrong deeply, but I didn't have the the vocabulary to articulate that at all, and I had no one to talk to about it, so I just continued forward. I had my first crush on a girl in 6th grade. Basically, I landed my eyes on her and I was like, who is that? The world slowed down. I mean, seriously, it was like a music video. I was like, that is an angel. But she was a year older, and she was straight, and she had a boyfriend, and she had a group of friends, and she was like a popular girl, so she wasn't even very nice, so it's so funny. But I was just like so in awe at this like gorgeous person. Yeah. And after that, I was super quiet about it for a while. I was like, oh my god, like, what the fuck? Why do I feel like this? Because I knew for the first time in my life that was a crush. And I like secretly like told these like girls that I wasn't even close with, like I was so not their friend, but they were like, oh, that means you're bi. And still that never ever felt right for me. I was always like, I don't think that's right, but I guess I have to be bi because I like girls now, when really it's like, honey, you don't even like guys. But anyway, yeah, so then I came out in 7th grade when I was like 13 years old as a lesbian, thanks to, funnily enough, Ellie from The Last of Us. I saw her and saw she was gay and was like, you're telling me I can kiss Ellie? And I was like, again, 13 years old, and she was like 14, so it made sense why I liked her, because she was in my age range. But I was like, I would kiss Ellie, what the fuck? Anyway, hang on. But still, throughout all these years, I had rape paranoia. I had this strong belief that one day I was going to be raped and there was nothing I could do about it. It was bound to happen, especially looking at the statistics. Like, I think it's 1 in 3 women, 33% of women experience sexual assault in their lifetime, something like that. And that was just so scary to me, and I was like, that is too big of a number, like, it's gonna happen to me. And as I aged, I had this fear approaching that, like, grew and grew. It was already so intense when I was, like, a kid, but when I was 17, I was like, oh my god, if I don't have sex before I become 18, if I go into adulthood as a virgin, I'm gonna be raped and it's gonna hurt, etc., etc. And I was so scared of, like, the physical pain that would come with being raped for some reason. I guess I just couldn't even fathom the mental toll that it takes on you. But yeah, I was really focused on, like, the physical. But so I was 17 and I was like, I need to find a boy who I can have sex with so that when I get raped, it doesn't hurt so bad. That's what I thought. So I found a boy, and I started, like, going out with him or whatever. And I gave him my virginity at 17, and oh man, is this when the dissociating starts? Focus. Why is my nose so itchy? Anyway, so now I was in this relationship, and I was still lesbian and asexual. But I just tried to, like, really convince myself and find reasons to not be. I think I was also dealing with, like, compulsory heterosexuality. There were a lot of facets to it. There always is. There's never, like, one reason for anything when it comes to me. But yeah, I was just really trying to convince myself that I wanted to convince myself that I liked this thing that I was supposed to like, but I didn't. And so sometimes it was consensual, but even when you think about the first time we had sex and why I pursued him in the first place was out of fear that I needed to be ready to be raped. Like, I needed to control it. I needed it to happen on my terms. Does that make sense? Yeah. Sounds like OCD stuff to me. But yeah, if this thing was going to happen and I didn't have any control over it, I was going to exact as much control over it as possible. I wonder if anyone agrees, or not agrees, but, like, relates with me on this, because I've never met someone who has, so it would be really comforting if you are watching this and you do relate somehow. I would love to hear from you. It's very isolating, obviously. Being a survivor is, like, one of the most isolating things in the world. It is so easy to feel so silenced and so afraid to speak out and share your story. It's taken me this long, so yeah, let's pause. Anyway, there were a lot of other times, and in my memory, like, a lot of the relationship is, like, erased. That's just, like, my trauma response is to, like, forget some stuff. But I just remember that a lot of the times it was not consensual. And it wasn't like I said, like, the movies, like, where they make it so violent and so, like, vulgar and so physically forced. It wasn't like that. There were a lot of, like, grays and stuff. And I really don't want to get into the details that much. It doesn't make me comfortable, so I won't. But yeah, there was a lot of coercion, and just so many times where I would just be like, I really don't want to, I'm really not in the mood, but he wanted to, so we did. And it just sucked. Sex was like a fucking chore, and I hated it, and I just wanted it to stop every time. And there were so many times where I begged him to just like please hurry up and like finish, because if you're not into it, then if you're the receiver, it hurts because your body's not into it, and my body wasn't into it. And there was like, yeah, whatever. I don't want to get into any more details, to be honest, for most of that stuff, but there was one time it's the most traumatizing time for me. And what's funny about it is that all the other times were rape, but this time was just attempted rape. But it's because it was so much more violent and forceful than any other time that this is the one that I have flashes back to most. I have flashes back to the other ones sometimes, or I have, but this one, it started happening a lot after we broke up, and I would just be at work or something like that, and I would just be organizing stuff on the hangers, and then it would happen, and I would just be like, oh. Like, it was like a gut punch, like the wind gets knocked out of you. I'll get more into how the flashbacks are, I guess, in a bit, but I'm finishing up telling you my experience first before we get into other stuff. So let's pause while I think. Anyway, trigger warning for me explaining this one specific night that traumatized me the most. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, this night, it didn't even happen, but it almost happened. So he really wanted to have sex, and I was like, no, I don't want to. I went and showered. I walked back out because I needed to grab my clothes, and he got up, and I didn't have any clothes on, and he just like forced me down, and he was right about to, and I told him no so many times that night. So many times, like verbally, no, I don't want to. And then while I laid there and couldn't fight back at all, and like literally physically couldn't like push myself up, I just thought in my head, like, he's gonna rape me. And that's like the immediate, like, that's the thought that I had, because that's what was going to happen, and it almost happened. And the only reason he stopped was because I just went limp, and I went, how many times do I have to say no for you to stop? And then he stopped. But yeah, that was traumatizing for me, like, so, that was so bad to me. And yeah, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so, I don't know, give me a minute. So in college, I took a women's self-defense class. Most of the class for the week would be the physical self-defense training classes that took things from different martial arts practices. And then there would be one class every Friday that was like the writing and reading class, where we all came together, shared our experiences, worked on building confidence as women and AFAB people, and we talked about the statistics and read people's accounts, and we learned about how to better prepare ourselves, defend ourselves, prevent harm, etc., and how to be more assertive, because assertiveness and fighting back is like one of the biggest ways that we are able to escape situations, because the fawn and freeze response are so strong in those moments, that's what can get the better of us sometimes. But anyway, so I was actively dating him while I was at college and taking that class, and I was like talking to my professor like in secret about it, being like, hey, like, so if I've been coerced in the past and raped in the past, then like, can it get better? Can I like stay with him, etc.? And she was so nice about it, but I don't know. There was nothing anyone could have done at the time, I guess, but I don't know. I wish somebody back then would have told me, like, no, you should leave him because that's wrong. That's rape. Like, I wish somebody had said that to me because we were going over coercion. And I, like, knew I had been coerced and I was still dating him. And I even went and talked to him about it and was like, yeah, so I've been coerced and blah, 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 but it, like, didn't stop, and then, yeah. Anyway, but, shit, give me a minute. But yeah, so I was dealing with coercion and being, like, pretty open about it. I talked to him about it, I talked to my professor about it, and I even talked to my mom about it. I didn't get much of a reaction or a response, I don't know. But the damage had already been done, like, all of those times, but then especially the time that really traumatized me that, I don't know, I think he was hoping I would forget or, like, imagine didn't happen, I don't know. But that time, that night, and all those other times really changed the way that I, like, felt about, like, sex and intimacy and being close with a partner and trust in people, etc. Why is my nose so itchy? Anyway, then I broke up with him a few months after, like 3 months after, 2 months after, and I felt like instantly happier. I was so happy. Like my very first relationship with a girl online, it took me a year and a half to get over her, and we dated for a year and a half. But then with this guy, we had dated for a year and a half, like a month longer than the other one, and I was like over it in a switch. Like I was over it and ready to move on in a month. And that's just because I had already grieved everything and already been dealing with like all the feelings of everything in that relationship. And I wasn't perfect in that relationship either. I mean, I was dealing with untreated, undiagnosed BPD and reacting to this deeply traumatizing environment. And so, like, I lashed out at him all the time. I was so not nice. But I've, like, completely worked on that now. And I made sure in my next relationship, even though I still wasn't perfect, neither of us were perfect, it wasn't a good relationship, but I made sure to never ever treat her the way I treated him. Because, like, I was so mean, to be honest. And I just wanted to point that out so that you understand, like, the perfect victim does not exist. We look for the perfect victim, and we show the perfect victim in these, like, movies and shows when we show sexual assault, and it's, again, because people can't handle the nuance in sexual trauma. They can't show the grays. It has to just be plain violent and, like, abusive, and they can't show the victim, like, not being nice all the time and not being perfect, because then people won't feel bad for her anymore and stuff like that. And it's just important to remember that, like, we are all human. Like, everyone, the victim and the perpetrator, are both human. Yeah, and I'm gonna talk more about that as well, so just hang on, because I have some thoughts on that which I think are good for a conversation that I really want to have. So I'm literally Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer right now. Like, that's crazy. Who needs blush when you can just, like, rub your nose so much that you become red? Anyway, sorry, let's stay on topic, shall we? Damn, I'm, like, literally shaking. I'm not even gonna try and stop. It's fine. It's whatever. Hopefully you can't hear it too much on the mat. But anyway, yeah, so then I broke up with him. I was ready to move on. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. I was starting to deal with flashbacks already even before this, but after we broke up, it got so much worse. Like, it was finally setting in. And I still had no therapist at this time. It was like April all the way through like October, until October when I got therapy. And a lot happened obviously in that time and stuff. But yeah, then I was finally able to like talk to my therapist about it and be like, I'm experiencing these flashbacks and I think I was raped, and I'm dealing with all these feelings of like disgust for myself and telling myself like, well, I didn't say no, well, I didn't fight back, well, maybe he just took these as a sign, and well, he was my boyfriend, so whatever. My dog is about to start barking. And I also want to say that there are different forms of consent, and saying a verbal yes is not always required, but saying a verbal no is also not always required. You should be able to fucking read the room, and if your partner clearly is not into having sex and they're your partner, you should be able to know when they have sex and when they want to have sex and when they don't want to have sex. They're your fucking partner. You have no excuse to know whether or not, or to not know whether or not they want to. Like, you are dating this person. You're exclusive with this person, with the exception of if you guys are in an open relationship or a polyamorous relationship. But every single type of relationship, no matter how many fucking partners there are, every single person has to be able to consent, and every single person has to be able to know when the other people are consenting. If it's not clear to you, then you need to ask. You can't just be assuming. You can't just assume they're fine with it if you can't even tell for sure that they're into it. You can read the room, you can feel the energy, you can read their body language, and you can also just ask. And if they say no, if they roll their eyes and sigh and go, okay, does that sound like they fucking want to have sex with you? No, it doesn't. So back off. Leave them alone. Yeah, I'm so passionate about like other people and making sure they're safe and they feel heard and respected. When it comes to me, not so much. Wish I was a little bit more caring of myself. I'm trying to work on it actively. But yeah, when it comes to other people and like you trying to like invalidate their experience based on this, that, what were they wearing, etc., I'm like so quick to be like, back the fuck off. You have no idea who this person is. You are lucky you even got to hear their story, that they've had the bravery and the kindness to share something like that with you, and for you to throw it back in their faces with an insult. You're disgusting. You're disgusting. Oh my god, she's mad. Yeah, anyway, I really, I'm trying not to like just go off because, you know, I've said what I needed to say, so I don't need to, you know, rant so much angrily. But just so you know, like, that passion is definitely there. I'm trying to keep it a little bit low key for the camera, but I'm with you. I am the fiercest warrior. No matter who you are, what your story looks like. If you said yes at one point and then didn't feel like it anymore, even a year later when the same thing is happening, yeah, I get it. I've been there. I'm with you. You're valid. If no one else on this planet fucking believes you, I believe you. That's one person. And sometimes that's enough, but at the end of the day, the only person you need to believe you is not me. It's you. And my Chairo, my doggy, is going to bark now, so I have to pause. I'll get back to you. My dog isn't done barking yet, so I just wanted to say McDonald's forgot to give me my straw, so I have to like drink my coffee like this. It's just like upsetting. Like where's my straw? But hey, I'm probably saving at least one turtle with this, so it's whatever. Well, actually, no, not really, because this is plastic still. The turtle is still gonna die, and I don't get my straw. This is lighthearted, I promise. Anyway, what I was trying to say a second ago before Mr. Dog interrupted me is just that you need to believe yourself. You need to validate yourself, because until you do, Nothing anyone else says, including me, is really going to get through to you. Nothing anyone says can be as healing until you believe yourself. You know what happened. Your body knows what happened. You feel it. So let's talk a little bit about flashbacks since we're on that topic. Everyone experiences flashbacks differently, I'm sure. In my experience, I'll get like one flash of what was happening in first person view, like the way I experienced it, or I'll get a third person flashback, like I can see the scene happening to me. And both of those can have like sounds or like sentences, like dialogue, but most of the time it's usually just like a flash of that time, and suddenly like my breathing changes, something in my chest changes, my stomach, everything, it like washes over me like a heavy weighted blanket, like you just got cracked in the face by a wave. And I don't know if you've experienced that, but man, I mean, when that heavy wave hits you in the face, takes you under, and then magnets your head to the sand floor, and you're just stuck there like, am I gonna be here for the rest of my life? Am I gonna drown right now? That's kind of what it feels like. It's really distressing, and it instantly just makes you feel like you zoom out of yourself. Not like you see the back of your head or something, but like your vision, it's like everything is far away now, and you're kind of like floating, and things are moving slower, and you're just not here anymore. And that is dissociation. And for a while, so I've dealt with dissociation a lot for a long time, but during this time of like that processing in my mind, especially before therapy, that was rough. And then even after a few months of therapy and working on this, that dissociation turned into a few episodes of derealization, which was scary as hell. I mean, I was at work one day. I only completed 1 hour of my 8-hour shift because I had to go home, because I had never experienced derealization before, and I was having an episode. But basically, I just felt so dissociated to the point where I felt like I was not there, like I was in a dream, like I was not awake. And I have self-awareness, like to a fault, so I was aware of it happening, but it was still just as distressing and felt just as real. I like went to my boss and I was like, I feel like I'm not here right now. I feel like there aren't real consequences to like my actions. Like I could just like fall over and like pass out right now. Like I don't know what's going on and I'm scared. And they sent me home to rest. But yeah, that was tough. I was also on Wellbutrin at the time, and Wellbutrin made me really sick, so I think that might have been what it was. And if it wasn't that, it might have been my lamotrigine, because lamotrigine made me really sick as well. I took that before Wellbutrin. Now I'm not on either, and I'm on Prozac, but I'm not currently on it. I have to go grab it, but I haven't been able to yet because I don't have a car, so I have to grab it as soon as I can, hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, let's pause. So I went on Tinder this one day, and what I was going to do was I was going to cope by committing self-harm, basically, but the self-harm was going to be sex. I was going to go out and have sex with a bunch of guys to relive the trauma on my own terms. Luckily, that never happened. I've never had a hookup. The only two people I've slept with are my ex-boyfriend and my ex-girlfriend who came after that. So that did not happen, and the only reason it didn't happen is because I met my ex-girlfriend that night, and we agreed to like meet up and hang out at the beach, and then from there on it was history. A month into our relationship, we moved in together and we signed a lease. So true U-hauling, you know, lesbian culture, sapphic culture. But yeah, and so I got my job at the retail store to support me paying my half of the rent with that. And so even months into our relationship, I was still dealing with, I was like new to therapy, and processing like what was going on with my sexual trauma. So I really kind of just still wasn't in a place to be doing all that. And so even months into our relationship, I still wasn't comfortable cuddling. Or let's rephrase that with, it took months to get comfortable with cuddling and stuff like that. And we literally didn't have sex for like, I don't know, over 6 months or something. Just because I just couldn't. And yeah, it was just too distressing. I know one time we like tried and I had to go take a shot thinking that it might help me. It didn't. I literally didn't even feel any of the shot at all. It's so funny because like alcohol hits me really quickly, really fast, really intensely. So it was kind of funny that like I took it to get some effect and felt completely sober. But yeah, so I just was not capable of having sex until well after a year of the most traumatizing night that I described to you, where it was attempted rape. It's still crazy to like say that, but that's what it was, legitimately. And that's what makes me feel more valid sometimes, is just being like, okay, I know what that was. I didn't imagine it. It changed me, and it was attempted rape. And nobody talks about this. I don't hear anyone talk about this, but attempted rape can truly be just as traumatizing, because I've been raped countless times, and that was not, at least on the surface, I think, I'm sure it was more damaging in the long term being raped, especially over and over, especially by somebody you love and trust in your own home. But, well, love, but yeah, because I'm gay. So, and remember, it all started because I was looking for somebody to prepare to be assaulted. It's just like self-fulfilling prophecy, you know, like you try to protect yourself from these situations by hurting yourself, and it's like, I don't know. I don't want to victim blame myself or sound like I'm victim blaming myself either. I victim blame myself a lot, but I try not to. I really try not to. And you know what? It's not because it's for me. It's because I don't want to perpetuate anything else for somebody else to hear and them start doing it to themselves, or feel like, oh, if you don't think your experience is valid, then you won't think my experience is valid. And it's like, no, honey, no matter what your experience looks like, I believe you, I validate you. Don't you worry what I think, you know? But yeah, I want to be like the bigger person when it comes to that, and make sure everyone knows, even on those days where you doubt yourself, it's still real. Yeah, I went on, you know, Google searches and found like Reddit posts of people like relaying with me, having the same exact stories as me sometimes, where I would just be like, there was this one Reddit post, I really still don't want to go into the details, I'm sorry, but there was this one Reddit post I found when I was searching it up, and I was just like, that's rape? Because that happened to me a lot, and I already knew I was raped, so it was like, all these things, but then also these things were also rape. So yeah, I experienced it just so much. Sorry, I don't even know what we were talking about. Pause. Anyway, I'm glad to say that, I think some of the paranoia, the rape paranoia, still lives in me, but, it is so not as severe as it used to be. Honestly, I think I went a little bit on the, like, wrong end, where it's from one extreme to the other, where I kind of put myself in dangerous situations, sometimes now, I don't know, just from lack of self-respect and stuff like that. Shit. Why am I dissociating? Fucking stop. I zoned out for several minutes, and I really don't remember where I was at all, so I'm sorry, but I'll just try and move on again. Let me think about the next thing I want to talk about. I do want to talk about asexuality and the aro-ace spectrums. Aro stands for aromantic or aromanticism, and ace stands for asexual or asexuality. So I'm aro-ace spec. It means that I'm on both of those spectrums. So asexual does not only mean having absolutely no sexual attraction to someone. Also, asexuality is different from libido. Libido is sex drive. We're sexual people, like we are a sexual race. We reproduce sexually. It's a natural urge that the majority of us have, not everybody, but a lot of us have those types of feelings. Sexual attraction is literally having the capacity to be attracted to somebody in a sexual way. You can be horny and not attracted to somebody, right? You haven't wanted to have sex with every single person you've ever come across, even if you're allosexual, which is somebody who is not asexual. You still have seen a person that you don't want to have sex with. So, same thing with asexual people. It's just that people on the asexual spectrum, ranging from absolutely no sexual attraction at all to having sexual attraction under some circumstances. That's the range. So there are different micro labels that some people use. Not many people use micro labels. I personally do use micro labels because I like labels that help describe exactly how I feel, because it helps me articulate my feelings, and that's the whole point of language. I know a lot of people don't like labels. A lot of people think it's too much, etc., etc. I understand what you're saying. I understand why you think that way. Everybody in my family, actually, every single family member I have has that belief, so believe me, I've heard all of it. The reason I like labels, specifically micro labels, which a lot of people find ridiculous, is just that it helps me with describing how I feel. It's my language. It's easier than me going, I'm asexual, let me explain this. These are all the circumstances where I want to have sex or whatever, So my micro labels, which I'll describe to you, are that I'm bellusexual. It's bellus, okay, not bella. Bellusexual. So bellus means that I like the aesthetic or concept of sex, but then in reality I don't want to have a sexual relationship. Okay? I'm cupio-romantic, and cupio means that I like the concept of romance and I want to have a romantic relationship, but I don't really feel romantic attraction. Okay? And then I'm naturally cage sexual. So cage sexual, CAED, means that I don't experience sexual attraction anymore due to sexual trauma. Okay? And so I want to talk about how I just really quickly want to state the importance of knowing that not every asexual person has experienced sexual trauma. Plenty asexual people are just virgins who just always felt like that. Tons of asexual people realize they're asexual later on and don't have any trauma and aren't virgins. And then there are people like me who are asexual on the spectrum and are not virgins and do have trauma. I don't speak for everyone on the ace spectrum, and sometimes I loathe that I have this sexual trauma because I don't want to feed into the stereotype that every asexual person is broken. I don't even like thinking of myself as broken. I think I'm just different, and I think I've changed. Okay? Yeah, I just really wanted to stress, like, yes, asexuality is part of my identity, therefore it's part of my story, therefore it belongs in this video, but it doesn't represent every asexual person, and they're not broken, and they're not ill, and something is not wrong with them. It's just the way that they are. And why do you care about them having sex behind closed doors? For somebody who says that you really don't care about people's identities, you really, really care what they do in the bedroom. That's all I'm saying. Let's pause. My nose is itchy again. Now, I do want to talk about how in the sexual definition, it says that you may be someone who used to have be allosexual, but because of your trauma or after your trauma following it, you don't anymore. I don't know if that's super right for me. I use these labels very loosely because it's just supposed to fit me. Remember, labels are for us. We are not for labels. We don't exist to fit ourselves into boxes. These labels exist to help us define who we are and share that, okay? So it's all about expression. That's all. You don't need to use any micro labels. If you don't want to, that's all fine. But if I want to and I feel comfortable with it, then you should respect that, because that's just the way I feel comfortable. And it's not hurting anyone, and it's not oppressing anyone, and it doesn't take away from anyone else's experience as an ace person, etc. So for me, I identified as being on the asexual spectrum even at 14. I used to identify as panromantic, asexual, and gender fluid. I don't really identify that way anymore, but honestly, I'm not even that far off, because I still identify as aro, aspec, lesbian, and gender fae or demigirl. So, you know, we still got all the queerness here. God, why is my nose so itchy? I really don't know what's going on. But yeah, well before any of my sexual trauma took place, I already identified as like demisexual. It's just that after this, I had so many more complicated feelings on the topic of sex and intimacy and sexuality and romance that now I've adopted more labels, and I won't lie, like, that isn't part of my story. It is. And I'm sorry if that doesn't help fight the stereotypes, you know? Like I said, I spoke out against them. I don't like stereotypes, and I don't like fitting stereotypes, but it's just been my experience. I guess I've learned a lot about myself, but I also can't help but wonder if I would have been different if I didn't have these experiences, you know? But even then, there's no shame in being asexual or anywhere on those spectrums. As a QPO romantic person, it can get, like, lonely, because I'm like, damn, I want this relationship, that's in my head. But do I really want it in reality? It's a struggle. But yeah. So it took us 53 minutes of build up before we got to the thing that I actually really want to talk about. But what I want to talk about is what I think about rapists. I know, that's an interesting way to start the topic, isn't it? You're like raising your eyebrow like, what the fuck is she going to say? So let me start out with saying this. I grew up being told rapists are the most evil things, like, on the planet. And I think I still believe that. Yeah, I still believe that. Especially people who hurt children. People who are not children who hurt children. I personally was not hurt by an adult. My ex-boyfriend was younger than me. So, I want to say it's really easy if you're not a sexual assault victim. Like, I wasn't always a victim, right? So I relate to both sides. I relate to hearing about victims and then not being a victim at the same time, and then questioning and being like, why did they blah, 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 all that. And I also relate to now being a survivor and the experience that comes with that. And again, keep in mind that everyone is different too. So I can't speak for everybody, but I will say it's super easy to be like, this person is the most evil thing in all of existence. We should just kill them all, etc. And if you came to me talking about your rapist, I would be like, fuck it, let's kill them. Like, fuck those guys, But then when it comes to, like, mine, that's not how I feel. And I think a lot of victims feel that way and don't see their rapist as, like, an evil monster or anything like that. And then it gets us a lot of not just confusion, but frustration from a lot of people, because they're like, oh, where's your self-respect? Why don't you hate this person? Why don't you want them behind bars? And the thing that I've literally heard to my face, which is very common in this discourse, is if you don't report them and get them in prison, then they're going to continue raping other girls, and it's your fault because you didn't speak up. Like, because you didn't do anything, you're not doing anything, you're enabling them to go do that. I just want to say, that is incorrect. No. Don't fucking tell somebody else how to go about their story. You know how... Where do I start on this topic? It's really important and it's really big. Okay, first of all, do you know how hard it is to prove sexual assault in a court of law? It's really hard. Okay? Having evidence and proving it, like, so many people are not believed. So many people even come out with a bunch of evidence and they still don't get justice. All it does a lot of the time, and this is not to discourage you from sharing your story, if you want to go to the police, fucking do it. If you want to inside, then I think you should do it. But if you're being pressured and you don't want to do it, hey man, that's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to fucking do. That is your story to tell. Okay? But I'm just saying, there's a lot of people not believing, specifically women and queer people, all the different types of disadvantaged groups, okay? And POCs as well. That's what I'm saying, just everybody, right? Especially if you have more than one, like, minority group attached to you. Like, if you're a queer POC woman, oh my God, can you imagine how hard it would be for her to go in and talk to these cops and try and get justice? And especially imagine who the perpetrator is. Is the perpetrator a fucking cop? Because good luck getting that person to have any sort of consequences served, because they get away with fucking everything. Yeah, there's a lot to say here. It's not easy, it's not simple, and honestly, it's disrespectful for you to think that it is such an easy cleanup. It really shows that you aren't educated and are not one of us. And if you really want to show true allyship, just be there and listen and be a shoulder to cry on and offer your support where they accept it, and ask them what they think you should do to help, because everyone is different. This one, like, victim will want comfort in a completely different way than I will, and we're both valid in the way that we want comfort. Okay? So just be respectful. It's really not that hard, and it goes such a long way, and it helps people not feel like they have to hide their story and keep it inside for so long, because I feel like I kept it inside for a long time, but man, other women, but I would go as far as to say majority of other women and queer people who are survivors, I would say they hold on to it even longer than I did. I would say that they go longer not telling anybody than I did, and I went over a year not telling anybody, and it was killing me. So imagine these people who carry it with them for years. Imagine the people watching this video right now with you who still haven't told anybody. Imagine these people who are adults or teenagers now who went through that when they were a kid and they still haven't told anybody because it was somebody in their family. And, like, I know people like this. These are people I care about, people that I love, who experienced what I'm talking about right now. It's just not easy. That's all it is, you know? I really just wanted to, like, shed light on that so that we're all very aware, okay? It's not an easy fix. And you know what? Sometimes the trauma of, like, reliving it, it's just as bad. And even if you get, like, your person behind bars, like, I imagine for some people that's just, it still wasn't worth it. They come out of it going, okay, they're behind bars, but I'm just, like, even more traumatized now because I had so many people not believing me in the jury and shit like that, and all these disrespectful questions that the defense has to, like, ask you, where you just have to stand there being questioned, like, what were you wearing that day? How short was your skirt? Which, again, if you're watching this right now and you don't know this, it has been proven that your clothing choice has very little to do with when somebody decides to rape you. So I can go out in sweatpants and a long sleeve, and that can still happen to me, and it has happened to other people. Okay? So let's not victim blame at all, ever. It's okay to not understand. It's okay to have questions in the back of your head. It's all about time, place, and audience if you share that, though. Some things, I mean, do you not remember being taught this when you were a kid? If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. It's a thing preschoolers learn, and they do better than you. That's crazy, okay? Like, they know not to say anything mean even when they're judging in their head, okay? Kids are mean, okay? I'm just saying some of them have the restraint. But yeah, so it's okay if, like, you can't blame yourself, like, for your thoughts, you know? Like, those things that just come up in your head as you think them, like, that's not... What you are responsible for and what you are in control of is your actions and your words. How you treat others reflects directly on you and defines your character. It defines who you are. So just do your best and be respectful. And you can always learn. If you fucked up and been disrespectful in the past, that sucks. I've been there. So just do your best to do better and not do that mistake again. And if you can, apologize. And if they accept it, that's great. And if they don't accept it, you know what? You're doing what you can, right? You apologize, you're taking accountability, you're making change. You don't want to be the person that you were. Even if they never forgive you for that, that doesn't define you. It just says that some people are going to hold on to things, and that's now their baggage, okay? I just really want to say, like, you know, anybody can change and grow, and that's so important, and we need to talk about that more and normalize that more, because there's a lot on the internet now where it's just gotten very extremist. Like, I'm obviously, like, one of the most progressive people ever. I'm super far left, etc., but there are a lot of people who are, like, extremists who are like, you said this 7 years ago in one tweet, and you're done, that's it, you're a bad person, shoot yourself. And it's like, what? What the fuck? How did we get here? I think it's so important. If somebody, again, it's, you know, some part of it is like the words, but mostly it's the actions. If somebody, like, really is trying to take accountability, experiences remorse, I just don't. You don't have to agree with me, but I don't think that we should punish them so much where it just builds onto their shame that they're already, like, expressing. They already have the shame, they have the remorse, they regret it, they want to be better, they have the drive to be better. They're trying to take accountability. They're trying to prove through their actions and their words going forward that they mean well. And I think we should give that a pass, and I think we should celebrate that. Yeah, I think we should commend people for trying, because, to be honest, yeah, the bar is low at this point. Let's be happy for what we get, because then maybe one day we can build up to expecting more. Let's pause. So back to what I was saying about rapists. I want to say that, like any victim, like any survivor, I know a lot of people don't like the word victim. I'm okay with the word victim, because that's what happened to me, and honestly, I don't have, like, a huge victim complex anymore. I definitely used to when I was, like, a kid, and you know what? I think kids should be forgiven for a lot of things. Like, I try to be really nice to who I was as a kid. I've talked about that in both of my past videos already. If you know, you know, but, you know, I had a lot wrong with me, and of course I had a victim complex and felt so bad for myself and self-pitied and everything like that. And you know what? I was a kid, so I'm like, it's fine. But now I don't really do that. So using the word victim for me is empowering, because it's validating, and I still move on. I am a survivor. I'm a survivor, and I'm a victim. I'm both. I'm strong. I'm not weak. I'm sharing my vulnerability with you because I'm a brave person. I'm courageous, and I'm proud of myself for how far I've come. And I think that I have important things to say and share. And I think that's good. But if you don't find the term victim empowering, then I won't call you a victim. I don't think you're a victim if you don't want to call yourself a victim. You know, I'll call you a survivor. I agree with you. I'm here with you. My mom is a survivor and she hates the word victim. She always has. So I know I'm close with people who do not like that term, and that's totally fine. But I'm just saying I'm okay with the word victim for myself because I'm a survivor, because I have a survivor complex now. Okay? It just is what it is. If you get punched in the face, you're a victim of violence, but, you know, it doesn't have to be a huge, big thing, right? But it can be. No matter how big or small or how affected you feel by your trauma, it's still important. Did you know there are a lot of people who experience rape and aren't traumatized by it? There actually are people like that. It doesn't represent all or even most people who experience it, but everyone reacts to things differently, and we should respect those people too. And those people are victims, and those people are survivors. And just because they weren't really affected by it in the way they say, like, what happened still happened. And we don't need to use that to make them feel a certain way or tell them that they have to experience some type of distress over it. They experienced it, and they were able to move on. And that's strong too. Hang on, itchy nose. Not the way I keep getting distracted and going on like different tangents instead of telling you what I think about rapists because I keep telling you I want to tell you. This is a conversation I really think is important to have. So, rapists. I don't think that rapists are always, this is a common belief, that rapists are always like one size fits all, evil, scary monsters that lurk in the shadows, right? We all kind of agree with that. I've heard that a million times. But I feel like we don't go into, like, depth about that, if that makes sense. Like, man, I've had bad posture this whole video, and it's, like, killing me. I'm sorry. I have to sit up. I hope that you can hear me from this far back. I'm sure you can, though. Anyway. But I think that, you know, rape is, like, one of the most traumatizing things that can happen to you. It's so horrible. It just changes, like, how your brain works. Like, it's so bad. And it's still valid, completely valid, even if the perpetrator didn't, like, intend for it to be. That's why I want to, like, preface that as a warning before I say what I'm going to say, because I don't want you to feel like it takes away from your experience at all. And if you think that your rapist is a horrible, evil monster that lurks in the shadows, then that's what it is, and that's valid. You know, you can feel like that. I just don't feel like that. I don't. So I want to share what I think in those terms. So I think a lot of rapists, especially, like, you know, the young men who, like, are in college and everything like that, or, like, late high schoolers, whatever. Those guys who, like, get, what is that called? Like, brought to, like, court and everything over it, and then, like, the judge, like, lets him out and is like, he's a promising young white man. He's gonna do great things. That's horrible. That's such a bad look. But, I just want to say, rapists should get, like, the maximum sentence possible, blah, 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 blah. I want all of justice to be served in the whole world. Of course, of course, of course. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that I think rapists are stupid. That's what I'm trying to say. I think they're fucking dumb. I think they don't even realize sometimes that they're raping you. That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me. And I think it's a fact. And I think nobody talks about it enough. That's what I wanted to talk about here. Is that people, I don't think it's always intentional. I think they're dumb in the worst way, like dumb in a harmful way. They do the most despicable, evil thing to you, and they don't even know because they're idiots. And I just, like, feel like some people might, I want to make sure nobody feels invalidated by that, like, like, no, why is she, I don't know how you can interpret it badly, but I feel like you can interpret it badly, and I really don't want you to, and I'm really trying to like word things and touch every topic so that like you don't have to take away some bad message from it that makes you feel less real in your experience, because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to say, like, I think that not only are rapists not creepy old men that live in the shadows, but I think they can also be pretty and charming men who literally are so fucking just caught up in their own head and so selfish and so unempathetic that they don't even understand what they're doing. They are so caught up in themselves and their pleasure that you're just such an afterthought that they don't even realize that they hurt you at all. And I don't know. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it doesn't even sound that revolutionary, but like I never hear anyone talk about it. And I don't know, I just feel really strongly about it because I'm like, this is the thing. I think so many rapes happen that could be preventable if men were taught really in depth about sex and consent. I think if schools taught even more in depth about what consent is, or their parents, or someone, I think so many less rapes would happen, because they actually learn, like, oh, just because she doesn't say no doesn't mean it's a yes. It's like, yeah, that's common sense, but you're so fucking brain dead that you just don't get that at all. So, I don't know. Let me see if I have anything more to say. Rape does not always look like the movies. I just really want to stress that, because there are a lot of people that just don't understand this stuff. They just don't. And then they invalidate you for like having like gray experiences, but it's like, I think most of these experiences are gray, because like I said at the beginning of the video, this is very important. Vast majority of rapes, 90% of rapes, happen with somebody you know, who you put trust in. And also I want to say, lots and lots of rapes go unreported because, again, people think that they won't get justice and it's just going to be re-traumatizing. And for me, I think it would just cause a lot of drama and distress, and I don't want to deal with people not believing me, and I don't want to deal with fucking questions, and I just want to live. Seriously, I just want him to leave me alone. I just want to never see him again. I just want to be completely disconnected from him. And every time I see him, my body freezes up. I get so terrified in a physical, visceral way. And it's like, damn, I know for a fucking fact he's not gonna do anything while I'm just out in public and I see him, getting off the bus, but it like scares the shit out of me because that's how my body is reacting to this trauma. Rape can look like a lot of things, and sexual assault is, it's just sexual contact without your approval. It's as simple as that. And if you felt coerced or forced in a non-violent way, all rape is violent, but you get what I mean. That's still real. And again, I really, really want to stress this. Doubting yourself is like a universal victim experience. It doesn't take away from you being valid. It's the same way where I've dealt with eating disorders, okay? I've always been really average weight. I've never been overweight and I've never been underweight. And so what I had was an invisible eating disorder. And it doesn't make you any less valid. And being an overweight person with like anorexia, for example, it doesn't make you any less valid. It just means you're struggling, and you're struggling in a different way than somebody else. Damn, I'm sorry that I brought up eating disorders. I didn't even give a trigger warning for that. I think that might be my next video that I make, is talking about eating disorders, but anyway, we'll leave that there. But you're just different, and I really want to stress that feeling like, is it really rape if he like doesn't even know that he's raped you, and like I don't know, what if I said yes to this thing one time, but then a year later he did this again, but I didn't want it and I didn't say yes that time. It's like, it's still rape. It's rape because you didn't consent, you didn't want it, you felt violated, and now you're dealing with the physical and mental repercussions of it. Just because it might not make sense in reality somehow, even though I think it does, you're experiencing physical and mental symptoms of distress over this. That means something. That is enough in itself. And even if you don't, that's still enough. Okay? I just want you to know you're fucking valid. I believe you. You're real. And no matter what fucking somebody tells you, somebody on the internet, your mom, your dad, your siblings, your friends, no matter what anyone says to you, it still happened to you. And that was real. Okay? I don't want anybody to keep blaming themselves for something that should never have happened to them in the first place. And somebody keep trying to, like, find reasons to justify and explain it away. You know, if you're looking for excuses, you know what the real answer is. You know what happened. You're just not ready to accept it yet. And that's okay. Take your fucking time. You got all the time in the world to accept what happened to you and to process it. And that's why I think it's really important not to force people to go about coping with it in a different way, or in a certain way rather. And we shouldn't force everyone to do this and this and this in their grieving process. Give them some time. Stop talking about statute of limitations and shit. If somebody needs time to process what even happened to them, don't make them go and talk to a bunch of people about it when they don't even know what happened in their own heart. Let it sink in. Give people space to breathe. That's important. If you are a real ally, you will respect somebody in how they go about accepting what has happened to them and healing. And that's not to say that, you know, there are tons of bad coping mechanisms, right? Like drugs, okay? If somebody's turning to drugs, that's a different topic. But I'm just saying we can't, just like we shouldn't force people into silence, we shouldn't force people into speaking. I don't think that's fair. I think everyone should feel comfortable and safe before coming forward with something like this. And you know what? I don't think anyone ever is obligated to come out with their story if they don't feel comfortable with it. I think, yeah, talking about it like in public or like I'm doing right now in a video, like you don't have to do this just because I'm doing this. But if this video makes you feel powerful and makes you want to share your story for the first time, then I think you should. And I would love if you gave me the link and I would go support it with you. I would watch the whole video if you decided to share your story too and share what you think about all of this. I would love to listen, and I would for sure comment and let you know what I think, because I think this is so important. Nobody should have to be silenced. Speaking of like silencing and speaking out and stuff, so for me, like I said, this was a big secret and I did not talk about it to anybody. I tried telling my mom multiple times and she just did not seem to like get it or pick up on it, which is weird because she's a survivor. Yeah, and then I finally did tell her in January, and to be honest, this is not even a bittersweet, it's just like a sad story because she didn't react the way that I wanted to. And I think that's actually important to talk about, so that you can gauge your expectations. I thought because my mom is a woman and because my mom is a survivor, and because I'm her only and youngest daughter, that she would react a certain way, like comfort me, be affectionate, make me feel better, tell me it wasn't my fault, say all the right things. I wanted that really badly, and I expected it from her. But she just kind of shut down, and then she blamed herself, and she was like, this happened under my roof because I let him stay with us and all of this. And then she also did a little victim blaming as well. She was like, if he was raping you, then why did you let him, like, you know, live with you, etc. So for any advice for you, if you're reacting to somebody who has been essayed, don't do that. Don't victim blame. Don't ask them, why did you do this and that? And also don't make it about you. Don't be like, oh no, this is my fault because I did this. No, because then what you're doing, even unintentionally, is shifting the focus onto yourself. You're taking away from that person's moment and their pain, and you're making them comfort you for your pain when the moment was supposed to be about them, because they're confiding in you about a trauma that they've carried with them for a long time in silence. So that's really important to keep in mind. And yeah, I had told her when she was like driving me home one day, and then we, like, you know, she got to my apartment and I got out, and I thought that, you know, she needed time to just process and that she would get back to me on it, but I should have, like, known that she wouldn't, unfortunately. And yeah, now it's July and she still hasn't talked to me about it since. It's like it never happened. And yeah, I love my mom so much, and she's super busy and works so hard, and she's awesome, but we have a lot of issues as well, but I'm super close with her at the same time. But yeah, I definitely wish that my own mom, like me mama, you know, had like hugged me and like let me cry, you know, and like really like heard me and sat with me, but like she didn't, and she hasn't, and she won't. And yeah, it's so fucking lonely. And you know what, I think it's important to talk about the loneliness that comes with being a survivor too, because people who don't get it just won't get it, and some people who get it also won't get it for some reason. That's not to say that you're always alone. I don't think that. I want to say you're never alone, because really you're not, but sometimes you are. Does that make sense? In a way, you're never alone. But in some ways, like, you really are sometimes. And it's good to be, like, realistic and optimistic, right? And, like, my thoughts are always with you. And I am always wanting to send my love to you through the screen and just hope that you're okay and that you realize that you have the strength to validate yourself and to make it through, because you're incredible and you've made it this far. You have made it every day of your goddamn lives, and you have always woken up the next day. Consecutively, you have never failed to survive. Isn't that incredible? That is like one of the most empowering things to me, is that every day we have lived. Every day we have succeeded through every bad thing, through every rape. We have always made it out. And we are still here. And I don't know how much longer we're all still here for, etc., but like right now, we are here. And that is strong. We are so strong. And not to be gross, but the first thing we did was win. The sperm going to the egg. There were millions of other things, other sperm cells, other cells fighting you for this opportunity, and you won. I know that a lot of people joke about that, but when you think about it, that's really fucking awesome. You are a winner. You are strong. You are fast. You are still fighting. You fought to exist, and you still fight to exist, even on a subconscious level, even on physical, instinctual level, your body fights to survive. That's why you can't, like, drown yourself unless you use other things. You can do this. You are strong. I'm, like, so fucking proud of you just thinking about it. And I don't even, like, know you or your particular story, but I would love to hear it, whatever you choose to share. I just think this is really important to talk about. But yeah, I do want to say, like, not everyone is going to disappoint you. And I really hope that they don't. But some people might disappoint you in their response. Some people might victim blame you. I have more than one person who has victim blamed me. And some people will just fearmonger and scare you, and some people won't believe you, and some people will take your pain and make it about them. And it's super unfortunate that any of that happens, but you are still strong enough to get through it, and you don't have to be alone forever. Maybe your family aren't the people to share things with, but there's someone out there. There are groups out there. I don't know where you live. I personally live on a small island where things are scattered about and there aren't a whole lot of resources around or anything like that. So I understand things being, like, kind of scarce and feeling like, ugh, but, like, the center is so far away and stuff like that. I get it. It's Sunday and there are no buses because we're short-staffed on bus drivers. So I couldn't, go many places if I wanted to right now, okay? So I get it. Just be there for yourself and keep reaching out. That's another important thing. You know what? Keep reaching out. No matter how many times you're silenced, how many times you're shut down, how many times you're not believed, keep reaching out. Don't let them win. Don't. I've been silenced and invalidated time and time again for my mental illness, for everything that I've been through, for all of the different, like, identities I have been not believed about, Believe me, I've been told, like, it's just a phase for, like, every piece of my identity that is still stuck with me today, okay? And I'm a mixed person, and I look white, so I also grew up being told I'm not, POC enough, I'm not Mexican enough to count, etc. And I dealt with, just a lot of invalidation. But you know what? No matter how many times somebody tells me you're not Mexican, my last name is still my last name. My dad is still my dad. What people say doesn't dictate reality. And that is a huge thing that I'm trying to keep in mind recently. Because I am a sensitive person. I've always cared what people think about me, and it's destroyed me. And I'm sick of letting it get to me. And I'm sick of letting it get to you too. I really care so much about you as the individual watching. You deserve your own justice. You deserve to feel free and happy and safe and be healthy and have the resources that you need. I think that's what every single person is entitled to. I do. Let's pause for a second. Just because you've been alone for so long doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. If it rained every day of your life, it doesn't mean that it's going to rain tomorrow. There's still a chance that the weather will be different. Just because things are usually gloomy and cloudy doesn't mean that it's never going to be sunny. It doesn't mean that there is no hope. I think that there's even more reason to have hope when it's like that. Because you're hoping for something different and there's always that chance. So it kind of it can strengthen that. It just depends on how you look at it. It's really about glass half empty, half full type of thing. And I don't even want to be cliche. I really try to be realistic. And I've been a pessimist most of my life when it comes to me. But I'm trying to be more optimistic, not just for others, but for myself. But I really do try to be logical and make actual sense of things. I just also want to say, like, it kind of is true in a way, like what you put out is what you get. I don't want to say like, because, you know, it can be victim blaming in a sense when you're like, if you behave this way, if you're so pessimistic, then you're bound to experience bad things or whatever. But I would just say, be open. Be open. Like, you've been let down time and time again. It makes sense why you feel like, oh, it's hard to hope. But have the hope to hope, you know? Hope maybe one day you can hope again. Be open to things being different. Be open to change. Be open to letting people, like, love you. And be open to letting people in. Because not everyone is worthy of being in. And not everyone in your family is worth telling your story to. And not everyone is worth you wasting your breath on trying to explain yourself away. I have a problem with that too. I've had a problem with that my whole life. And it's just from being constantly invalidated and neglected. And so when you recognize where that comes from and you practice mindfulness, then it's easier to be like, okay, explaining myself, justifying myself, it's not going to change anything because it's not going to change what they think about me. And what they think about me isn't true. What they think about me is not the reality. And I heard somebody say this recently, which is very good advice, is what do you think about yourself? What do others think about you? The truth is somewhere in the middle. Because everyone is a little bit wrong and everyone is a little bit right. And I think that's very true, and we got to keep that in mind. Yeah, hang on. Anyway, it can be scary to make videos like this because it's like, what if somebody sees? What if somebody knows who it's about? And what if they reach out to me? And what if it causes drama? And da, da, da. And that's the whole reason I don't even want to report this person, because I'm like, I just want him to move on with his life and not ever talk to me or look at me again. You know? I don't want to deal with re-traumatizing myself because I'm traumatized enough. For real. Seriously. And I just want to move on and separate myself from this. I'm ready. I'm ready. But just because I want to work past what was done to me doesn't mean I want to stop talking about it, because I want to keep raising the voices of survivors, and I care about sexual assault victims, and that's just one of the things I really care about. I care about tons of different communities, and I want to speak on all of it. It's just the way I am. I'm wired to say something, and maybe I'm not the most eloquent, maybe I'm not the most this or that, but I know that I have the courage to share my voice and the willingness to throw myself into the fire if it means that something good comes out of it for someone else. And I hope that I can accomplish that somehow. And I know this video is long, and I'm sure that there's more to talk about that I'm really gonna want to say after I upload it, where I'm like, shit, why didn't I talk about that? Why didn't I say that? Because there's endless things to say. So I can always make a part 2 or something. But, you know, the last message I really just want to stress is you're valid. Not everyone is worth your time. Reality is in your bones. Okay? Your experience is your experience. No one gets to fucking tell you what you experienced. You're the only one who knows what happened. Okay? Feel free to vent, share your thoughts, share your story, share advice. Any of that is completely welcome. Please be respectful in the comments. And if you're not, you know what? It says a lot about you and nothing about me. So, at the end of the day, it's like, how do you want to see yourself in the mirror, you know? Because you can't hurt me more than I already hurt myself. Thanks, guys. See you.